Lesson 23, Solving Two-Step Equations. So when we are solving equations for a variable, we use inverse operations to isolate that variable. When you use inverse operations, it's to undo the operation that is being done to the variable. So we want to undo the addition and subtraction first. After we do that, we want to undo the multiplication and division. So that's going to be second. So I'm going to give you an example. Evaluate 5x plus 4 for x equals 2. In this case, all we need to do is plug in a number 2 for x. So we have 5 times 2. When 5 is right next to the variable x, that means multiply. And then we're going to add 4. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 will give us 14. Now if we want to solve, so evaluate means you're just coming up with the answer or the solution to the problem. Solve means we want to come up with what does x equal in order for this equation to be true. So we want to undo addition and subtraction first. So we find the variable. It has 4 being added to the term, so we want to subtract 4 from each side of the equal sign. So we have 5x equals 10. Then we want to undo the multiplying by 5, which is divide by 5. So we have x equals 2. And here's another example where we have some fractions. So solve 2/5 x minus 1/4 equals 3/10. So if I'm going to add, I have to undo the subtraction first. So I'm going to add 1/4 to both sides. Now I need to get a common denominator, which I would say is 20. So I have to times this by 2, which means 3 times 2 is 6. I had to times this by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. So I have 6/20 plus 5/20 because we're adding, so we have 11/20, 2/5 x. Now, since we need to divide by 2/5, anytime you divide by a fraction, if you remember the keep it, change it, flip it, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we'll multiply by the reciprocal. X equals, because 5/2 times 2/5 is equal to 1. That's the inverse property of multiplication. So 5 goes into 5 once, into 24 times, and we have 11 divided by 8, or 1 3/8. That's the end of the lesson.